Alright, what's going on everyone out there on YouTube? NES Ruler, and welcome to a brand new review. I hope everybody out there is doing well. And this time around, we will be checking out a film that was sent to me to review by Arrow Films. And you can pick this up right now on 4K at all of your favorite retailers online. And that is the Terry Gilliam film, 12 Monkeys. So, I first saw this film probably, I'll be 29, so I probably saw this film back when I was about 17, and I haven't seen it since, so it's been quite a while since I've seen this movie. And I've been a big fan of Gilliam for a while. I think he has one of the more interesting mise-en-scène in recent memory of any director. I mean, he doesn't really make films that often anymore, which is unfortunate. He made a film a couple years ago with Adam Driver, but besides that, he really doesn't make too many movies. But the movies that he's made all stand out and have their own unique look to them. And you kind of know you're watching his movies whenever you put one on. So to see this film, which is a little bit of a different take on a Gilliam film, it's definitely his most successful film. But to watch it and see, what he has become and what he did in the past, of course, with The Fisher King. And it's just, a very weird movie. And definitely one of Brad Pitt's most underrated films. And definitely one of his most underrated performances. I feel like he is so crazy in this movie. He did some really interesting roles in the 90s. Brad Pitt, with Cool World, 12 Monkeys, just a whole bunch of other films. He did some really out-of-the-box kind of films. So I give Brad Pitt credit. He doesn't really do that anymore. But this is movie, but him in this movie is just absolutely crazy. So if you guys don't know about the story about 12 Monkeys, we basically follow Bruce Willis. He is in prison in the year of 2035, which is not that long away. And basically what happens in 1996, there is a virus that basically knocks out and kills 5 billion people on Earth. And the 1% of people who are still alive basically go underground and they live. And Bruce Willis volunteers to go back in time to try and gather information about the 12 Monkeys, the gang of the 12 Monkeys, and try to get information about where the virus, comes from and all that jazz. And we basically just follow him. And the first time he goes back, he time travels back to 1990, and that's where he meets Brad Pitt's character in a psych ward. And I feel like this is definitely the scene where Brad Pitt definitely shines the most. It's really, really fantastic. And, Bruce Willis is okay in this movie. I don't think it's his strongest performance. He kind of is monotone and acts the same throughout the entire film. But I do have to say, the 90s had some really, really fantastic sci-fi films. Between 12 Monkeys, which I think is a really good film. It's not my favorite sci-fi film of the 90s, but I feel like it's still a pretty decent film. 12 Monkeys, The Crow. Just so many other fantastic sci-fi films came out of the 90s. And I feel like it doesn't get enough love and praise that it deserves. But this is a really interesting sci-fi film. It has a very, like I said, it has a very monotone kind of performance by Bruce Willis. But besides that, the rest of the film and the rest of the acting is really, really solid. And if you guys like sci-fi films and you haven't seen 12 Monkeys, I don't know what you're doing. It's a pretty well-known and well-respected film. So, highly praised when it came out in the 90s. So what about this package from Arrow? This is, of course, like I said, a 4K transfer. And you get the usual nice thick 4K case from Arrow. You got the disc, and you get this really nice booklet that Arrow usually puts in talking about the film and all that kind of stuff. It's a really nice, pretty lengthy booklet, 40-page booklet. So it's a really nice edition. Now, of course, this comes with HDR, and what do I think about the transfer? Well, I've watched a lot of 4K films in my time at this point. As you guys probably know from my other reviews I've talked about lately, it's turned into my favorite format. And I've watched a lot of films, and I've read a lot about what goes into, the transfers in HDR and Dolby Vision and all about that. I just don't feel like this film has the greatest transfer. It's still better than the Blu-ray. I've seen the Blu-ray, like I said, when I was in high school. I saw the Blu-ray when I was in high school, and it wasn't that hot at the time either. So I wasn't really expecting to have like an amazing, mind-blowing new, it is a brand new 4K restoration, so I kind of expected a little bit more about it. But the film never really looked good to begin with. So it's probably going to be the best that it's going to look. So if you guys are a fan of 12 Monkeys, I would pick up this edition, but I wouldn't be prepared when you put it in to be mind-blowing. There's some very grain-heavy scenes throughout this film. I know some people like the natural grain look. I just feel like it's really heavy at some points throughout the film. Of course, that might have to do with the negatives that they used to make the new restoration, but as I would assume, it's a pretty popular film, so I would assume that the negatives were probably taken care of. But like I said, I don't think it's the best, transfer, but the fact that it has Dolby Vision and it has HDR10, which I watch it in HDR10, which it does help a little bit if you have a player and a TV that is able to use those capabilities. I feel like you're definitely going to notice a little bit of an improvement in the quality. And, it has a bunch, nothing new feature-wise, but it has, a feature-length documentary about the film and a 1996 interview with Terry Gilliam and a commentary track. So, it has some, not the most features that Arrow has put out in the past, but it definitely does have some things going for it. So if you guys are a fan of 12 Monkeys, this is probably the best release that you're going to get at this point. But just don't be prepared to be mind blown with the release or anything like that. I still think it's worth the pickup though. I definitely, just for the film, because I think the film is quite solid. Like I said, it's not my favorite film of the 90s, but I still quite enjoyed it, mainly because of Brad Pitt. So that is my review of 12 Monkeys. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/NESRuler22. I just want to thank everybody who have reached out to me over the past month to send me well wishes with the podcast and all that. So I really appreciate everybody. Everything's cool. Just don't worry, everybody. Everything's fine between the crew. So just relax on that part. Everybody's friends and still and all that. So thank you again, everybody, for watching. I shall have some more reviews for you guys because Arrow has sent me some more cool stuff. So I shall talk to you guys soon. See you in a bit.